You've heard about all the oddities: skylights in the floor, staircases that lead to nowhere, cabinet doors that open to just an inch of space, and doors on the second floor that open to thin air. And although these strange details are fascinating, they're just the beginning of what makes this home truly extraordinary. Today, we'll be taking a deeper look at the detailed hardware, custom woodwork, the stained glass, layered wallpapers, rich color palettes, and the experimentation of materials and textures coming together to create a true Victorian masterpiece. Get ready to discover some of the answers behind the design legends and to learn more about the creative mind behind it all.
This is unlike any Winchester Mystery House tour you might have seen before. That's because I've been given exclusive access to highlight what most other tours often overlook: the designs behind the interiors, the history of the architecture, and the decorative details that define this house's very distinct Victorian charm. Welcome to Winchester Mystery House. Hi, I'm Allie, and welcome back to Fat Little Dish, and welcome to an amazing historic house tour that I am so excited to share with you all. Make sure to hit thumbs up if you love historic home tours and if you love this exclusive peek inside this Victorian dream. Huge thank you to the Winchester Mystery House staff for making this dream possible. I'm incredibly grateful. Let's step inside.
For years, Sarah Winchester's legacy has been tangled in myth and misunderstanding, but she was so much more than what the paranormal documentaries all say about her. She was a visionary, a pioneer in design, and a woman ahead of her time, who spent the later part of her life devoted to a project that would never be finished. A home that became her life's work, a sanctuary where she pushed the limits of architecture, explored new ideas, and embraced innovation. What began as a way to cope with grief became a lifelong act of expressionism and experimentation. Sarah Winchester was the widow of William Wirt Winchester, heir to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, makers of the rifle that won the West. Sarah Lockwood Pardee was born in 1839 in New Haven, Connecticut. Her father, Leonard Pardee, was a successful carpenter and mill owner, a man known for embracing innovation and investing early in new technologies. His business acumen, creative problem solving, and deep understanding of craftsmanship no doubt shaped Sarah's own interests. Like her father, she would grow into a curious mind with a passion for design, a willingness to explore the unfamiliar, and a talent for seeing potential where others saw limits. When I learned this about Sarah, it was like an epiphany for me. No wonder she had such an eye for intricate woodwork design. Her choices weren't random or chaotic. They came from a place of knowledge. She knew the language of craftsmanship, and this house was her way of speaking it. Sarah and William grew up just blocks apart in New Haven. They eventually married in 1862 and settled into the Grand Winchester family home on Prospect Street. Though this house no longer stands, the streets of Prospect Hill still echo her era in their architecture. After the death of her infant daughter, and then her father in 1880, followed by her husband just a year later, Sarah found herself alone. She was 41, childless, and widowed. 1884, at 46 years old, she left her home in New Haven and traveled west to the Santa Clara Valley of California. Moving to start a new life in a new place like California, especially as a woman at the time, was incredibly courageous and an early preview of the bold visionary we would soon meet. She purchased a modest 8-room farmhouse in San Jose and began what would become one of the most ambitious and mysterious architectural projects in American history. Over the next 38 years, Sarah Winchester worked continuously on her home, with no blueprint, no master plan, and crews of up to 200 carpenters working around the clock. Originally, the mansion rose 7 stories high, but after the 1906 San Francisco earthquake badly damaged the upper floors, Sarah shifted her plans, expanding outward instead of up. The result? A 24,000 square foot maze of 160 rooms, 13 bathrooms, 6 kitchens, 2 basements, 47 fireplaces, 17 chimneys, 3 elevators, 2,000 doors, and over 10,000 panes of glass. Regardless of the mystery behind its construction, what Sarah created here is nothing short of extraordinary, one of the most intricate and awe-inspiring examples of Victorian architecture in the world. The exterior leans fully into the Queen Anne style, with turrets, finials, curved glass, and asymmetrical roof lines, but it's the interior where you really see her design instincts at work. The house is a living expression of the aesthetic movement, where even the most functional objects were treated as art. Door hinges, gas fixtures, window latches, nothing was too small to be beautiful. Every detail was intentional. We're starting in what was the Carriage House. This is where Sarah would arrive after long trips into town, and it's also where guests or staff might have entered. But of course, it's not just any ordinary carriage entrance, and there are some things to take note of. Just look at this tiny door. Yes, that's a full-size doorknob on a very tiny door. That really doesn't make a lot of sense because even Sarah herself would have had to stoop down. Some believe it was a service door or designed that way for structural reasons. Others say it was just the mystery behind Sarah's designs and experimentation. Regardless of the reasons, this is a good introduction into all of the unique details that we're about to uncover together. Is one of the most talked about features in the whole house, a staircase that goes absolutely nowhere. Some say this was built to confuse spirits, but really the truth is more practical. After the 1906 earthquake, Sarah had to abandon large parts of the original structure. Some floors were sealed off, others rerouted, so this staircase likely once led somewhere, but then plans changed, so it was easier to just leave it where it was. Next is one of the most stunning and curious parts of the house, Sarah Winchester's private stained glass collection. Most of these were never installed, they were custom designed and delivered only to be carefully stored away. Doors, panels, all waiting for a room that might have never existed. You'll see glowing jewel tones, peacock feathers, oval insets, and delicate floral designs. A personal favorite, the spiderweb pattern, set with exactly 13 blue and gold stones. 13 was Sarah's favorite number, and we'll see it repeated all throughout the house, in the numbers of stairs, panels, hooks, and more. It wasn't random, it was deeply intentional. And that pair of double doors, they're breathtaking and completely unused. It's as if she was curating her own private gallery of light and color just for the joy of collecting beautiful things. Nobody knows why so many of these were never put into place, whether it was due to constant redesigns, shifting plans, or something more symbolic, but the effect of having all of them in one room is powerful. Sarah's stained glass collection throughout the house is pure aesthetic movement, filled with natural images of leaves, flowers, insects, birds, spider webs. Everything just feels like a daydream. Many pieces came from Austria, Belgium, some came from Tiffany's, all selected with Sarah's incredible eye for design. Next, we have some of Sarah's favorite interior finishes, Lincrusta Walton wall coverings. Lincrusta was the epitome of luxury at the time, used in high-end homes, hotels, and even on the Titanic. It's a deeply embossed, textural wall treatment made from linseed oil and wood pulp, almost like sculptured leather for your walls. Sarah didn't just use it in one spot, she layered it everywhere, on ceilings, tucked between carved wood paneling, and covering entire walls. These added both dimension and drama to each and every space she used these materials in, and it added a sense of opulence that still feels striking today. Here you can see extra rolls that were never installed alongside a collection of lighting fixtures and ornate brass hardware, all custom made for Sarah and never used. Maybe they were just part of an evolving vision that was never quite finished. This is believed to be Sarah Winchester's sewing room, and in a house known for its extravagance and mystery, this space feels surprisingly quiet and personal. Here, Sarah Winchester would sit by the windows and sew, surrounded by light and lace, overlooking the gardens below. The farmhand's bedroom, a much simpler space compared to the rest of the home, but still thoughtfully designed. And oh my goodness, just look at these spiderweb glass pieces. I'm in awe. Tucked away in the 13th and final bathroom, you'll find something incredibly rare for the time, a full working shower. This early needle shower sprayed water from all sides, and it was customized to Sarah's height, a luxury only the wealthiest had in the 1900s, and a perfect example of how Sarah was an early adopter, much like her father. Sarah suffered from arthritis in her later years, which is another reason for some of her different design choices. She created easy rider stairs, long switchbacks with 2-inch steps so she could move between floors with minimal strain. She experimented with design and layout to make things adapt to her, which again was something very ahead of her time. Throughout the mansion, you'll notice hardware that feels surprisingly modern, like these cast iron casement latches. At the time, this was cutting edge, but has since become the standard. Sarah just didn't follow the trends, she created them. This was the only dumbwaiter in the house, connecting the servants' kitchen below to the floor above. Sarah spent a fortune on custom details like this, not just for beauty, but to ease the workload of the people keeping the mansion running. This is Sarah Winchester's bedroom, one of the most refined and intentional spaces in the entire home. Look up at that ceiling. It's pressed Lincrusta, that wall covering that Sarah loved so much. Every surface is deliberate, from the intricate cornices to the Lincrusta ceilings. It's all layered yet soft, romantic but forward-thinking, just like Sarah. Right beneath those sweeping embossed walls, you'll spot a portrait of Sarah's beloved dog, Zip, a little canine companion who roamed the mansion's halls with her. And just look at this cozy little nook, with its stunning cast iron piece that's actually a Victorian parlor stove. Beautiful but functional. It radiated heat and style, and it almost looks like lace made out of metal. The diamond-shaped window, another classic Sarah detail. It distorts perspective and adds an unexpected sense of movement, part of how she played with design, mystery, and light. This was Sarah's ritual space, where every night at midnight she'd meet the spirits alone, asking them where to build next. Legends say, that is. But spiritualism really was everywhere during her lifetime, especially after the Civil War, when everyone was seeking comfort from loss. This is a very interesting space. There's only one way in and 3 ways out. One disguised as a closet, one leading to a hallway, and one that drops straight into the kitchen sink below. And yes, there's 13 hooks lined up on the walls. This space absolutely adds to the mysterious nature of the entire home. This sunroom was designed so Sarah's plants could receive both sunlight and water, no matter the season. Sarah loved gardening, and as she got older, she added 2 indoor conservatories so she could tend to her plants without ever needing to go outside. In here, she came up with an ingenious system. The hardwood floorboards lift up to reveal a slightly sloped metal surface underneath. She'd place her plants directly on the metal, water them, and then the water would drain away through custom-built pipes hidden below. And as Sarah designed these conservatories, she even planned for hoses and modern plumbing before most homes even had them. Classic Sarah, beautiful, practical, and a step ahead. Continuing on, the energy definitely shifts a little bit here. It's quieter, more compact, and feels almost like a private little world tucked inside the maze. There's a cozy sitting area with a beautifully tiled fireplace, and look at the tile work in the sink, botanical patterns styled in muted golds and greens, distinctly influenced by Japanese and Persian design. This kind of global inspiration runs throughout the house. Rooted in the late Victorian aesthetic movement, her design pulls from Japanese, Persian, Moorish, Greek, and Egyptian influences, Austrian, Belgian art glass, metal fixtures and wall coverings imported from Europe. This house is a cultural melting pot of design. And look at this custom, ornate woodwork above each door frame. I swear, there isn't a detail that goes unnoticed here. This is the bedroom of Sarah's favorite niece, Daisy, one of the few people known to have lived in the house with her. That's why you'll also see daisies throughout the home sprinkled within Sarah's designs. There's a warmth here. Golden woodwork, a carved mantle, soft light filtering through lace curtains. The room feels more grounded than others. It was a private and personal space, but still carried the same design language seen throughout the rest of the mansion. And notice the trim. Each doorway is capped with floral medallion corner blocks, a subtle decorative flourish that makes even the thresholds feel special. This is the South Conservatory, the second of Sarah Winchester's 2 indoor conservatories, but this one is the brightest one of all. Just look around. Every wall here seems to be made of windows. And yes, there's a skylight built right into the ceiling above, floods the room with natural light, turning it into a greenhouse salon, a space made for plants and brightness. And just look at this skylight built into the floor, which also helps flood the room with light. It brings the light down into the lower conservatory below and was engineered to be both functional and playful. Sarah wasn't just building rooms, she was designing light, layers, and always experimenting. Look at this charming little sitting area with its own fireplace and the most gorgeous red stained glass door. It almost feels like a secret retreat tucked away, hidden inside the house. The soft yellow fireplace tile is a little unexpected, but it works. It's subtle, warm, and completely in line with Sarah's love for color, whimsy, and craftsmanship. This whole room is a built-in redwood cabinet space, solid redwood from floor to ceiling. But Sarah did feel that the dark redwood hues made this space look smaller, so she painted over it in a lighter tone, likely to brighten the space and to make it feel more open, even though underneath it's that same durable redwood we have been seeing throughout the house. Redwood was her go-to for the entire mansion. She chose it for its strength, termite resistance, and longevity. That is one of the reasons why the house remains as structurally sound as it is today. Just above the stairwell, there's a small interior balcony, one of the many quirks scattered throughout the house. It doesn't serve a clear function, but like so many details here, it breaks up the space and adds a layer of visual intrigue. This is the most expensive piece of glass in the entire house, $1,500 at the turn of the century. It's a stunning panel of beveled crystal, edged with intricate zipper cuts, and studded with leaded jewels. It was originally positioned to reflect light across both floors, but in classic Winchester fashion, a room was later built behind it, blocking the sunlight entirely. Its beauty is now hidden in shadow, quietly shimmering in the dark. What's labeled as the oldest bedroom is more than just an early room. It's the original heart of Sarah Winchester's home expansion. The space reflects the first layers of renovation, toggling between what was practical and ambitiously innovative. This room looks like a private suite, and maybe that's because it once was. It's the oldest section of the house, dating back to when Sarah first bought the farmhouse in 1886 and began her upgrades. At the time, the house was just a modest 8-room home. This bedroom would have fit right in, but as the mansion grew into the sprawling labyrinth of a structure that we all know now, that same room expanded to having almost an apartment-like feel, tucked beneath layers of her ever-changing vision. On display inside of this area is a rare collection of Victorian hardware that Sarah ordered herself. Ornate hinges, latches, keyhole covers, doorknobs, glass lighting fixtures as well. These pieces all just weren't functional, they were decorative art. Just look at this intricate brass detailing with the stylized sunbursts, foliage, and geometric borders. These were among the finest options available on the market at the time when it came to home decor. True luxury fittings for a home of this caliber. Look at this hallway. It feels like the heart of the house, doesn't it? Every inch is carved from California redwood, and just look at this craftsmanship. Those turn spindles, the carved corbel under the posts, even the decorative vent panel. Every inch of this house was a surface for ornamentation. Pure aesthetic movement, and especially the wall coverings, which again is Lincrusta. Super high-end and incredibly durable. It's still intact today, which says everything about the level of materials that Sarah always insisted on using throughout her home. At 5:12 a.m. on April 18, 1906, a massive earthquake struck the heart of San Francisco. It measured an estimated 7.9 on the Richter scale and devastated entire sections of the Bay Area. Though the epicenter was miles away, the Winchester estate in San Jose shook violently. Chimneys crumbled, towers cracked, rooms collapsed. Sarah Winchester was reportedly sleeping in this very room when the earthquake hit. The chimney buckled, trapping her inside. Servants had to dig her out by hand and break their way through the door right here. Shaken, some say spiritually disturbed, understandably so, Sarah ordered this entire wing of the house to be sealed off. Doors were boarded, staircases bricked in, rooms left exactly as they were, frozen in time. In the aftermath, Sarah briefly considered tearing the entire mansion down and starting over, but she was already 67 years old, and the thought of beginning a new project from scratch after 2 decades of construction was impossible. So instead, Sarah did something she knew well. She adapted. Rather than build up, she began to build out. The earthquake was a turning point. What began as an ornate Victorian home evolved into a labyrinth, staircases that end at the ceiling, doors that open into brick walls, windows that peer into other rooms. This wasn't just architectural whimsy, completely at least. Part of it was actually grounded in fear, not just grief, but also fear from Mother Nature. And you can almost feel that trauma within the designs themselves, which adds to its mysteriousness. And everything just keeps on going. You almost forget where you are at times. This is another hallway leading to another set of hallways. Here's another bedroom. I just love the craziness. You can tell that Sarah was truly experimenting with design and really how to work around what the earthquake had done to her masterpiece. But she turned a negative into a positive and let this almost become her playhouse for design and experimentation. And every corner speaks to the creative soul of the home, not just of Sarah's designs, but also of those who crafted these by their own hand and helped make Sarah's ideas become an actual reality time and time again. Up here on the rooftop, you'll spot the bell tower, once used to call workers or mark different times throughout the day. Just many ways Sarah made this massive home feel like its own little world. And this cheerful little space is one of several kitchens in the mansion, designed not just for beauty, but for practicality. The porcelain sinks are cleverly surrounded by wooden drain boards that make drying dishes easy. Another example of practical design that Sarah did so well. We are now standing in one of the most carefully restored sections of the entire mansion, the front parlor and the dining room, recreated to look like the original interiors as they would have before the 1906 earthquake. This is high Victorian at its best. Pattern on pattern wallpaper, intricate woodwork, and a moody, period-correct color palette. Hardware and fixtures weren't just practical in here, they were also decorative decisions. The restoration team studied historic photographs and materials to recreate the exact Victorian-era designs, including the original wallpaper patterns, ceiling medallions, moldings, and even the built-in china display cabinets. The level of decorative detail in here is stunning. From the pastel ceiling stencils to the embossed woodwork and the gold accents lining the room, this truly took my breath away, and I know this must have been not an easy project. It's a rare and authentic glimpse into what Sarah's aesthetic vision looked like before the mansion morphed into a labyrinth of oddities. In contrast to the maze-like rear wings, this space feels deliberate, refined, and almost serene. This space wasn't part of the recent restorations we just looked at, but it is still a lovely example of classic Victorian parlor-style decor. Ornate drapery, tough chairs, and delicate lighting. That glossy black fireplace is japanned, a decorative finish that mimics lacquer, popular in the late 1800s, and this was redone to actually mimic the finishing of the original fireplace. And now, we're ready for the Grand Ballroom. As we step into the Grand Ballroom, your jaw almost drops with the level of detail you see surrounding you. This is a stunning centerpiece of the mansion and a true testament to Sarah Winchester's obsession with detail and experimentation with design. Victorian in both its style and sentiment, this room cost over $9,000 to build at the time, nearly $250,000 today. The parquet floor took an entire year to complete, crafted from 7 different woods, each piece meticulously hand-laid. Above us, the ceiling is a masterpiece of carved wood inlay, and at its center, a dramatic chandelier with 13 arms. Originally built with 12, it was modified to honor Sarah's fixation with the number 13. The walls are wrapped in rich red damask, accented with ornate gold-framed mirrors and finely carved paneling. Even the furniture feels ceremonial. Deep ruby velvet drapes, leaded glass china cabinets, and sculptural Eastlake chairs. But perhaps the most mysterious element of all lies tucked discreetly behind an ornately carved wooden door, a hidden safe, and behind that, a metal door, and behind that, another safe. And what's inside? The obituaries of both her husband and her infant daughter, and a single lock of her daughter's hair. This really speaks to the soul of the Winchester Mystery Mansion, the original reason behind why Sarah even came here and created it. A reminder of her past and something to continuously ground her, especially during times of uncertainty. And even the windows here have their own secrets. 2 of them are etched with puzzling Shakespearean inscriptions that phrases with no clear explanation, but no doubt meaningful to Sarah. What do you think this means? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And here's yet another kitchen, smaller, simpler, but still full of charm. That spindle support under the counter, so unmistakably Victorian. Another practical design element just off to the kitchen, this marble-lined room once stored perishables before refrigeration existed. Ice blocks were hauled in from the Sierra Nevada to keep everything cool. Victorian resourcefulness at its finest. Originally were exterior service doors, but after the 1906 quake, Sarah pushed the walls outward, the old doors stayed, and now they open straight into a light well instead of the yard. And this paper-thin cabinet is the same story, once a full-depth cupboard on an outside wall, later swallowed by an addition. What's left is an inch or two of space, a fossil of constant remodeling. And this is the Venetian dining room, our final stop inside. It's one of the most layered spaces in the house, the richly paneled walls, the marble-topped fireplace, and that ornate Victorian fretwork above the doors. These details appear throughout the mansion, but they really shine here. They draw the eye upward and add dimension to every threshold. Notice the beautiful built-in cabinetry, a reoccurring design element in this home. Sarah embraced these practical, elegant solutions again and again, and this space showcases some of the finest. The entire space is a stunning mix of craftsmanship and sentimentality, a perfect note to end our tour through the interiors. Stepping outside, it's clear this wasn't just a house. Sarah Winchester built an entire estate that was meant to function like a self-sufficient town. There's a plumber's shop, carpenter's workshop, a mechanic's garage, and even a 35-foot water tower that supplied the entire property. Miles of pipe ran beneath the home for drainage. The estate had its own greenhouse, stables, and yes, even 13 palm trees lining the driveway. As I continued to walk outside, a wave came over me. The mystery of the Winchester house started to feel clear. It's a story of a woman's eye for design, shaped by the lasting effects of a natural disaster. Some choices reflect Sarah's spiritual beliefs, some were born of grief, but most came from a creative mind pushing the limits of design. Someone who started fresh and threw herself into a project to heal and recover from loss. She built a playground for ideas, testing layouts, mixing materials, adopting the latest innovations, and gathering her favorite details in one single place, creating one of the finest showcases of Victorian craftsmanship that you can still see up close and touch and feel and truly experience. Sarah gave us a gift through this home, the chance to learn from her design experiments, both the triumphs and the missteps, to study the layers of texture, color, material, and pattern, all woven together. This is the Winchester I wanted to show you. The version made meaningful through design. The real story about the woman who kept creating this masterpiece, who kept testing, who had an unshakable passion for design. Some say she was driven by spirits. I personally believe she loved the interior design process the most. So much so that deep down, she never wanted it to end. That's what I admire most, and why I'm so grateful that we have this living museum of design to study because of Sarah. And yes, there's still mystery here. Even after we found logic behind some of the oddities behind the designs, a little wonder remains. Some things are best left to the imagination, though. I hope you enjoyed this exclusive tour and seeing another side of the Winchester Mystery House that's often overlooked, the focus on Victorian design and architecture. Make sure to hit thumbs up if you loved this exclusive tour and seeing a side of the Winchester Mystery House that you might have not seen before. Subscribe for more historic home tours. There are some amazing ones that I have planned for you all, and you're not going to want to miss out. Until the next one, my friends, you all stay lovely, happy decorating, and let's keep on celebrating the beauty of historic design. Au revoir.